A lot of people have asked me like, hey, can you make a video about this and that theory? But the thing is that I don't want to make a video copying someone else's theory. So pretty much, unless I have something to add to it, there won't be a video. However, since I get asked about other theories quite frequently, I figured I could always make a top list and give my thoughts. So that's what I'm doing. At number 7, we have Northena's fridge door theory. I've talked about this theory before, and most of you have probably heard of it, but in case you haven't, here it is. In the current world of Jorvik, there are 4 strangely placed doors that light up at night and make creepy noises. According to the theory, the doors make out a star formation, which means that there is a 5th door located in Mystic Valley. I love this theory and think it's 100% legit. The only reason it's not higher on the list is that I wish there was more to it. I know that there are other people trying to theorize about what these doors are and what they're hiding, but despite that, we don't know, even after years of trying. There are still so many unanswered questions about the fridge doors, and even though Northena definitely made more sense of them, it doesn't say anything about why or who or when. The mystery still remains, and that is why this theory is number 7. Moving on to number 6, we have the theory that Anne is an imposter. Unfortunately, I'm not sure who the original creator of this theory is, or if there is one at all. I've personally heard it directly from 2 different people, and it's also been posted anonymously on Star Stable Folklore's Instagram. But anyway, the theory basically says that the Anne that we saved is not the real Anne, but an imposter, and that the real Anne is still trapped in Pandoria. The reasoning behind this is mainly based on 2 things. First of all, Anne's shadow can still be seen in the crystal in Pandoria. And secondly, Prison Island wasn't discovered when we saved her. There are also some arguing that saving her was too easy, that Darkor didn't put that much effort into stopping us, and that Anne acts strange and doesn't really seem to care about Concord. Whether or not this theory could be true is a whole question on its own. I personally think a lot of the evidence is caused by bugs, and that it's unlikely to be true. But regardless, I think that this theory definitely is very interesting. Just imagine the shock if our own Anne suddenly turns against us and is revealed to not be Anne at all. That would be a crazy twist. At number 5, we have the theory that Idris will eventually join the dark side. This is a theory I found on Star Stable Folklore's Instagram, and the poster is anonymous. This theory suggests that Idris will eventually team up with Darkor because they have similar objectives. Idris wants to destroy the Earth in order to save Pandoria, and Darkor wants to free Garnock, which would mean destroying the world. Honestly, it has struck me as weird that Darkor hasn't taken advantage of Idris yet. We know that he's a very powerful creature who does whatever he wants, and I'm sure Darkor could come up with some sort of deal to have him work with them. But then again, the problem with this theory is that Idris says that Pandorians fear Garnock, so of course he doesn't want to free him. So that's kind of contradicting the theory, but who knows, Idris is very unpredictable and he could possibly change his mind. At number 4, we have the theory that there is a spy among the keepers. This is another theory from Star Stable Folklore's Instagram, and yet again, the poster is anonymous. The theory says that someone within the Keepers of Aideen is secretly working for the enemy. The reasoning behind this theory is the fact that Darkor seems to have some inside information about them, and it would also be smart for them to have spies. Although this theory lacks some evidence, it definitely is both interesting and possible, and it makes me wonder who the mole could be. At number 3, we have the theory of what happened to the Deuce. This is another famous theory which I believe have multiple different creators with different inputs. Sadly, I'm not sure who the original one is, and I can't find anyone explaining the theory as I remember it. But here it goes anyway. The theory says that the Deuce went corrupt after being scammed by GED, and that they're now in hiding to prevent it from happening again. Some versions of this theory says that they even faked their own death upon doing so, to make sure that they would not be followed. This would explain why both their farms look so abandoned and overgrown, and why we've never met the Deuce in person. It also makes sense because the bankruptcy being caused by GED is suggested by the game itself during a quest with Miss Drake. I'd say that I definitely think that GED corrupting the Deuce is true, just because Miss Drake is suggesting it herself. Them going into hiding or even faking their own deaths would explain a lot, but that would be more on the speculation side of things. All in all, this is a really spot-on theory that definitely sounds plausible, which is why I put it at number 3. And coming up at number 2 is the theory that all the quest lines will align. So this actually comes from my comment section by a person called Jossan älskar hästar. This theory says that all the different quest lines in the game will eventually become a part of the main story. This would mean that every side quest and every character is more important than they may appear. This is really interesting because we get a whole different view on how the story progresses, and it's made me much more aware of how things might be connected and where things are heading. We can already see the GED and Southhoof quest lines connecting to the main story. We know that everything happening in Dino Valley is important, and a lot of so-called side characters have played important roles in the main story. So maybe eventually everything and everyone will become a piece of the puzzle that is the main story. And lastly, at number 1, we have the theory that Evelyn Goldsberg is Mrs. X. This is another theory that I don't know where it came from, but I've heard it mentioned all over. So you know how the mayor of Jarlheim, Evelyn Goldsberg, went missing on her way to a GED mine opening? Yeah, the characters in the story suspect that GED is behind her disappearance, but according to this theory, she actually went undercover as Mrs. X. It honestly makes so much sense that I can't even imagine a different outcome. As mayor of Jarlheim, it definitely sounds realistic for her to start an organization to fight GED, and because GED is so powerful, she'd have to do so anonymously. Besides, this seems to be a full-time thing, and it's not like there's a lot of other people missing in the game. It's also very convenient how her disappearance and Chill both have something to do with GED, suggesting that it's part of the same storyline. I definitely think that this theory would explain a lot of things, and I can't find any holes in it. So those were my top 7 SSO theories. I just want to say that if you happen to know who any of the original creators are, then I'd love for you to leave it down in the comments so that they can be properly credited for their work. I'd also love to hear what you think about these theories. Have you heard them before, or were they new to you? And of course, what are your favorite theories? I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, if you did, I'll see you around. Bye!